Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're stepping into some really unsettling territory. We're looking at true stories, real accounts of people who vanished, just gone, without a trace, often in these wild, remote places.
Yeah, and these aren't your standard missing person files. These are the ones that, well, they leave you scratching your head. More questions than answers, really.
Exactly.
So, our mission today for this deep dive is to lay out the details. We're drawing straight from the sources you've provided on these strange disappearances. We want to highlight the elements that keep popping up, the baffling bits, and look at the theories people have come up with to try and explain the, well, inexplicable. And be prepared, because some of these facts are genuinely surprising, chilling even.
Right, and just so we're clear, we're not trying to sensationalize any of this. Our aim is just to recount the facts respectfully as they appear in the source material, so you, the listener, can get a clearer picture of these enduring mysteries.
Okay.
Let's start in Washington State, Olympic National Park. It's September 1997, Friday the 6th. A guy named John Devine, 73 years old, decides to go for a weekend hike.
Now, John was experienced.
Yeah.
Very fit, apparently, even though he was legally blind in one eye.
Yeah, his pastor called him quiet, good-natured, loved the mountains. He planned a tough climb Mount Baldy, 7,000 feet, via the Maynard Burn Trail. Not easy.
No, definitely not. He was last seen that Sunday afternoon, September 7th, hiking on Gray Wolf Ridge.
And then he didn't come back to his friend's campsite like planned.
Right, and that's when the worry set in. Late afternoon Sunday, no John. He was reported missing the next morning, Monday.
So the search starts immediately.
It does.
Yeah.
But the terrain, Park Service volunteers said it was just incredibly rugged, steep.
Difficult to navigate.
Extremely. The bushes were apparently so thick, one description was tough to walk down the drainages.
Wow.
Yeah, a sergeant involved even said something like, if he was just walking around up there, we would have found him by now. It gives you a sense of how dense it was.
Okay, and this is where the story takes a really, really tragic turn. During the search for John, a rescue helicopter, a Bell 205A1, it crashed.
Yeah, piloted by Kevin Johnston, 35. He had search volunteer Rita McMahon and park employee Taryn Hoover with him, plus 3 others.
They were flying near Mount Baldy, about 5,000 feet up, and the pilot thought he saw John.
Radio contact indicated they spotted someone, tried to get their attention, maybe flew a bit lower.
And then
Suddenly, control was lost. The helicopter just smashed into the mountainside.
Oh, no.
3 crew members died. The others were severely injured. Just awful.
And the cause? That's the truly baffling part.
It is. The survivor accounts are chilling. One person claimed the helicopter was, and this is a direct quote, struck by something. Sent it spinning.
Struck by something? What does that even mean up there?
Exactly. Another survivor mentioned a freak gust of wind. But what really stands out...
Screams!
Yes. The only real clue, reportedly, were unintelligible screams of terror heard just before the crash. The exact cause, still unknown.
Those screams. It just sends a shiver down your spine, doesn't it? It's hard to process that.
It really is.
And because of this terrible accident, John's family actually made a difficult decision.
Yeah, they asked for the main search for John to be suspended. This was about a week after he vanished.
They felt he wouldn't want anyone else risking their lives for him. Understandable, but heartbreaking.
Completely. It shows the ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
John disappears, and the search itself leads to more tragedy. Park staff said they'd keep doing routine patrols. You know, the case isn't closed until he's found.
But he never was. John Devine was eventually declared legally deceased. Just vanished.
Vanished.
But here's something else. John wasn't the only experienced hiker to disappear in that park that year.
No, that's right. Back in June 97, just a few months earlier, a 21-year-old named Chris Wursler went missing.
Also an experienced outdoorsman, but this was his first solo trip.
But unlike John, Chris actually reappeared almost 2 weeks later.
He survived.
He did. But he was completely disoriented, had almost no memory of what happened during those 2 weeks. Apparently he survived on very little food or water.
That's bizarre. 2 experienced hikers, same park, same year. One vanishes completely, the other turns up with missing time and memory loss.
It definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could there be some connection, some similar strange event affecting both of them? It's hard to dismiss.
Okay, let's shift gears now. From experienced adults in the wilderness to something maybe even more disturbing, a child disappearing. We're going back to July 1971, the Adirondack Mountains in New York, a place called the San Antonio Estate. Huge place, 12,500 acres.
Right. And an 8-year-old boy, Douglas Legg, was there with his family.
On the afternoon of July 10th, he's taking a short hike with his uncle. Just a leisurely walk.
It was warm. Douglas was wearing shorts. They'd noticed some poison ivy nearby.
So the uncle tells him, run back to the cabin, change into long pants. The cabin was really close, just a few hundred meters away, apparently.
He's like, let's heads off down the trail.
And that's it. Last time anyone ever saw him.
Let's go now. When he didn't come back after a few minutes, the uncle started getting really worried. Searched himself first.
Then the alarm goes up.
Oh, yeah. A massive search operation kicks off. Park rangers, tracker dogs.
Helicopters, too.
Helicopters with infrared, yeah. And hundreds, maybe 1,000 volunteer rescue personnel from all over.
But the conditions were tough.
Very. Rough terrain, bad weather, and apparently the organization wasn't great either, which hampered things. But they kept looking.
Okay, but the dogs. There was something specific with one of the bloodhounds, right?
Yes. This is maybe the most chilling detail. A bloodhound picked up Douglas's scent.
And followed it.
Followed it for almost 30 miles. Through dense hilly forest. 30 miles.
30 miles? An 8-year-old couldn't possibly.
Exactly. He couldn't have walked that far alone. It strongly suggested he was carried. Or maybe even dragged.
So kidnapping.
That became the immediate theory, yes. Someone stronger took him.
And where did the trail end?
Abruptly.
At a small pond?
A pond.
Yeah.
The tracker dogs just lost the scent right there.
What does that imply?
Well, the experts, the trackers, they believed it was deliberate. That whoever took Douglas specifically took him to the pond to wash him down. Thoroughly.
To break the scent trail.
Precisely. It suggests calculation, planning. Not just a random abduction, but someone who knew how to evade tracking dogs. A cold, calculated predator, as the authorities described it.
That is terrifying, the idea of someone being that methodical.
It really is. Especially when a child is involved.
So could you actually wash away a scent that completely?
It's very hard to do perfectly, which is why the trail stopping so abruptly at the water's edge was seen as significant. It suggests they were successful, which is, well, chilling.
Were there ever any leads after that?
Over the years, yes, but nothing panned out, sadly. A cycle of hope and disappointment for the family.
Like what?
Well, in 1993, a woman claimed a relative had murdered Douglas and hidden the body in a lake. But it turned out she was suffering from false memory syndrome. Genuinely believed it, but it wasn't real.
Oh, wow. That's complex.
Yeah. Same year, a hunter said he'd found skeletal remains near the estate like 20 years before, back when Douglas vanished. But searches found nothing. Maybe scavengers, maybe buried over time, who knows?
Anything more recent?
Just a couple of years ago, 2020, a diver found a bone fragment. Initially there was hope. It was part of Douglas's skull.
What?
Turned out to be animal bone. Another dead end.
So where does that leave the case?
Open. But officially, it's about as cold as it's possible to get.
And the horrifying thought is...
That whoever did this,
Yeah.
they might still be out there.
Let's move north now to Canada. Nahanni National Park Reserve. Huge place, over 11,000 square miles. UNESCO site.
Yeah.
Beautiful, but it has this really dark history.
Oh, definitely. It starts with ancient legends, even. The Dean First Nations people tell a story about the Naha tribe.
The Naha.
Yeah. The Deans were apparently planning to ambush them, but when they got to the Naha camp under a new moon, it was empty.
Just dessert.
Completely.
Yeah.
Fires still smoldering, food left out, like everyone just vanished instantly. Life at the camp had just suddenly and inexplicably stopped, is how the legend goes.
Wow. That sets a pretty eerie tone.
It really does. It's like a precedent for all the strangeness that followed in that valley. Like the land itself remembers people vanishing.
And things didn't get less strange when Europeans arrived for the gold rush in the early 1900s.
Not at all. More disappearances. The most famous involves two brothers, Frank and Willie McLeod. They vanished prospecting in 1905.
What happened to them?
Their younger brother searched for years. Finally, 3 years later, he found their camp down in a valley near a creek. Found two skeletons, both headless.
Headless. Good grief.
Yeah, that's how the area got names like Dead Men's Valley and Headless Creek. Just brutal.
And this wasn't a one-off.
No. There were other cases. A Scottish mining engineer disappeared around the same time. His Dean guides refused to go look for him in the mountains. They were terrified, but wouldn't say why.
Just pure fear.
Exactly. Then in 1917, another prospector, Martin Jorgensen, found dead. Also headless.
Headless again? Were there rumors?
Oh yeah. Local papers talked about possible headhunters. Whether that's literal or something else, it just adds to the dread.
There's also a story from a mining expert, Frank Henderson, in 1946.
Right, Henderson's account is really vivid. He and his partner, Jack Patterson, were surveying. They split up for a bit.
And Patterson?
Vanished. never seen again. But Henderson himself described feeling this growing sense of dread, disorientation, and inexplicable terror. He actually fled the area.
Just ran.
Pretty much. But he went back later on a second search, this time with a whole platoon of men.
Safety in numbers.
You'd think. But he said he felt the exact same terror, and that night, some First Nations men came to their camp, warned them about pale, ghostly shapes, and told them to leave immediately.
Ghostly shapes. What did Henderson make of it all?
He just described this sinister atmosphere of that whole valley, and the sounds, a weird continual wailing of the wind. It sounds like the place itself was hostile.
A primal fear, like you said before.
Exactly. And these aren't just isolated stories. There have been lots of similar deaths, disappearances, even plane crashes are common enough that part of the Mackenzie Mountains there is nicknamed the Funeral Range.
So what are the explanations people offer?
Well, the obvious ones. It's incredibly harsh terrain. Dangerous predators, bears, wildcats, logical explanations. But there's always that lingering some other reason. Maybe something connected to that ancient Naha disappearance. Maybe, as some suggest, the real answer is just far too terrifying to really grasp.
Okay, from Canada down to another iconic, immense landscape, the Grand Canyon. This case is more recent, June 2015. A 22-year-old named Morgan Heimer.
Right. Morgan was a river guide, commercial guide, knew the area, physically fit, loved being outdoors.
He was on an 8-day rafting trip down the Colorado. Day 6, they stopped near a place called Pumpkin Springs. It's a hot spring.
Morgan asked his lead guide for some time off, just a break. Wanders off from the group.
And just didn't come back.
Never seen again. Just like that.
But he was experienced, fit, a good swimmer.
All of the above. Confident swimmer. Which makes his complete disappearance even more baffling.
They searched extensively, I assume.
Oh, huge search. Cliffs, the river itself, nothing. No sign of Morgan, no sign of his gear, and he apparently had brightly colored clothes on, a distinctive purple water bottle. Not a trace.
So if it wasn't an accident like falling in the river, what are the theories?
Well, accident is still on the table, of course. Maybe a fall from a cliff, maybe he did drown and the body just wasn't found. The Colorado is powerful.
But no belongings surfacing. That seems odd.
He does, which leads to other speculation. Some people wondered if maybe he deliberately walked out, hiked to the nearest highway, caught a ride, maybe even went to Mexico to start a new life.
Has his family heard anything?
No. And they've made public pleas several times asking him to contact them. They're heartbroken.
Right, so if he did choose to leave, you'd think he might eventually reach out, or some sign would appear.
Exactly. The total lack of any physical evidence, not even the water bottle or his hat, in a place that was searched so thoroughly, it really pushes you towards thinking maybe it wasn't just a simple accident or him walking away. It feels more complete than that. Makes you consider less conventional explanations.
Let's stay near the Grand Canyon area, but go back in time again. Summer of 1975. Deborah Carrick. She was 21, from New Hampshire, driving cross-country to a wedding in California. Kind of a road trip, visiting national parks.
Right. Her last known movements are a bit fragmented. She'd been traveling with someone known only as Vern, or maybe Cowboy.
But then she told her sister she was planning to go to the Grand Canyon with 3 French girls she'd met in a rented van.
Yeah, but then hotel staff in Flagstaff, Arizona, where she stayed on August 17th, said she was definitely alone when she checked out that morning. Seemed happy and healthy.
And after leaving the hotel?
She vanished. Never seen alive again.
What happened next? How did they find out something was wrong?
Well, on August 26th, some of her belongings were found just discarded on a highway in California.
Just dumped.
Yeah. And disturbingly, it was near where the bodies of 4 other murder victims had been found around that same time.
Oh, God. Serial killer.
That was the immediate suspicion. Someone targeting people in these remote areas or along highways. Then, a few days later, her traveler's checks started getting cashed.
By her?
No, by a mail. First in California on September 2nd, then New Mexico on September 3rd. It suggested someone had her checks and was possibly fleeing.
And Deborah?
Her body was found on September 9th. In a side canyon off Highway 64 near the Little Colorado River Gorge.
How long had she been?
Been dead about 3 weeks, they estimated. Cause of death was severe blunt force trauma to her skull.
Horrific.
It was. Her body was partially stripped,
Right.
and she could only be identified through dental records.
Was anyone ever caught? Suspected?
There was, and is, a prime suspect. A man named William F. Samistill. He was a tow truck driver, already convicted of murdering 4 other young women.
And was there a connection to Deborah's case?
His M.O., his method, was disturbingly similar. He apparently ordered his victims to strip and then sometimes redressed them after killing them. That matched the condition Deborah's body was found in.
So they had a strong suspect.
Very strong. Compelling evidence, matching MO, other convictions. But for reasons that aren't entirely clear from the sources, he was never actually convicted for Deborah Kerrick's murder.
So the case is still open?
Technically open, yes. But realistically considered increasingly unlikely to be closed. Another life cut short. Another mystery lingering.
Okay, one final case. This one takes us to Wales, and it's much more recent. July 2019, Jordan Murray. He was 32, lived in a small town called Cwmbach, described as quiet, introverted, like the outdoors.
On July 24th, he went into a local convenience store, bought some water, and then disappeared.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
His parents couldn't reach him for about 8 days. When they went to his apartment, the door was wide open.
Open? That's strange.
Yeah. Inside, his PlayStation was still on, his phone was charging.
Yeah.
But his bug-out bag was gone.
His what?
A sort of emergency kit, apparently. A rucksack with a camping burner, headlamp, trainers, stuff you'd take for a trip outdoors.
So he maybe went camping?
That was the initial thought. Searches focused on the nearby Brecon Beacons National Park, a place he often visited.
But the search was difficult.
Very. Strong winds and torrential rain made it tough going for the search teams.
Did anything seem off about the camping theory?
Well, yeah. The police were puzzled. If he just went camping, why leave his phone charging? And more importantly, why leave his wallet with his cash behind? That didn't quite fit.
You're right, that is odd. If you're planning a trip, even a short one, you'd likely take your wallet.
Exactly. It created this contradiction.
What about his apartment? Any signs of trouble there?
None. No signs of a struggle, no forensic evidence suggesting an assault. Friends and family said he didn't seem depressed or anything beforehand. Everything seemed normal until he wasn't there.
So, what are people thinking happened?
Well, the theories are all over the place. Could it have been a hiking accident in the Beacons? Maybe. But they've searched extensively.
And it's not as vast or dense as some U.S. parks.
Right. The argument is it's nowhere near as large and lacks the kind of cover that might hide a body indefinitely. So why hasn't he been found if it was an accident?
Could he have just decided to leave? Start a new life?
Possible, but again, the apartment scene is weird for that. Leaving the door open, phone charging, wallet behind. It doesn't quite track for a planned departure.
Murder. Suicide.
Police found zero evidence for either. No motive, no signs. It's a blank slate.
Was there a sighting?
There was a possible one, yeah. In 2021, about 120 miles away, someone reported seeing a man living off-grid, rough camping, who claimed he was from Wales. Fit Jordan's general description.
But it wasn't confirmed.
Never confirmed. Just another potential lead that didn't solidify.
So like the others, Jordan Murray is just
Gone.
gone. Despite all the searching, his body's never been found. Which brings us back to that unsettling idea. Whether maybe science just isn't quite ready to explain what has happened or where he's gone, it's a recurring theme.
It really is. As we wrap this up, you look at these 6 stories, different people, different times, different places, but these threads keep connecting them, don't they?
Yeah, experienced people often in these wild settings.
A lack of remains or clues that just confuse things more.
And no clear answers, no conventional explanations that fit all the facts.
Exactly.
So for you listening, it leaves us with this big question, doesn't it? What is really going on when people vanish like this in these vast, untamed landscapes? Is it always something we can explain eventually, an accident, an animal, human action? Or do these persistent mysteries hint at something else, something deeper, maybe more unsettling about the world we think we know?
Something current science just hasn't caught up with yet.
Perhaps. It's definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into these truly perplexing stories.